All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA Finals video. In this video, we are going to recap Game 2 a little bit. I know I'm a couple days late. Don't worry about it. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of opinions. But in these videos where we recap the NBA Finals games, I talk about what I like, what I didn't like, what went right for the teams, what went wrong, the good players, the bad players, everything in between. So if you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. We're going to get through this first half very quickly because it was back and forth. The Spurs did lead. The Spurs, as I have in my notes here, had control in the first, and they looked really good. But you guys want to hear about the third quarter and the fourth quarter and the final minutes of the fourth quarter because that's when the real meat and potatoes happened. So let's just get right into it. Like I said, in the first, the Spurs had control of the game. That was in part due to blitzing Jalen Brunson at the start of this game. They threw a couple bodies at Jalen every time he got the ball, every time it looked like he was about to score or had the intention to score. They threw a couple bodies at him, which worked effectively. You know, it was okay. Um, but this first half was sort of, for me at least, the demarcator or the marker for me where I was like, they need to play like this for 48 minutes. And I've sat here and said that a bunch of times in these videos. And I sound like a broken record with this young Spurs team, but it's very true. They need to play the full 48-minute game. You can play it as if like we win one quarter, win the next one, win the next one, win the next one. Maybe we lose one, but it can't be the last one. It has to be like the second or third quarter. It can't be the last quarter because if you lose the last quarter, then you've lost the game essentially. Or it becomes very taxing to win that fourth quarter. But this Spurs team played a good 12 minutes in the first quarter. Um, and then it started to trail off a little bit. Um, the Knicks stayed alive in the second quarter with buckets from everybody, but most importantly, Karl Anthony Towns, the leading scorer on this Knicks team this game and just in total. And everybody pitched in where they needed it. Guys like later on in the game, Landry Shamet came alive. Jose Alvarado did his little thing. Mitchell Robinson had some infectious energy. But yeah, the second quarter where the Spurs started to lose the plot a little bit. It started again. It feels like game one all over again, where they just lost to the more experienced team because, as we'll get through this video and get through this recap, it feels like the Spurs are. It feels like they're aware of the moment and they're aware of everything mattering, like every little rebound, every little shot, every little loose ball mattering, but they just can't get to it. They just can't, like, a rebound will fall out of their hands at the wrong time. They'll foul at the wrong time. It will be called a goaltending at the wrong time. You know, all these little things just going wrong, and they compound into them only losing by single digits. And you look back on some of those meaningless plays at the time, you know, and they add up to one big, you know, loss. And I've I've struggled to see how the Spurs can win this series. As we get through the rest of my notes here, there's just so much going on with this Knicks team that's great, and they're going back to New York, and you couldn't win one in San Antonio. You couldn't win one. Um, it's very naive of them to play the game of basketball like this, and it's sometimes they have no control over being naive. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, but there are some things they do have control over, and you can see something in the left-hand side of your screen that they can control, and even the stuff they wanted to control, they couldn't. And it just felt like at certain points in this game, they were just outmatched. I don't want to say mentally, but just like the wanting of this, you know? I think the more and more I watch this series, we'll put it this way, right? The Spurs championship was beating Oklahoma, right? That was the biggest at that point they thought that was the biggest challenge, and the Knicks were going to be easy. If they could beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, you can beat the Knicks, right? They're finding out that's simply not the case. Moving on here, let's talk about Victor Wembanyama, and we'll talk about the totality of the game here in a minute of like his effect on this game. It was a very blah first half for him. we have to give props to Karl Anthony Towns, who we'll talk about here in a second. But Victor just, I don't know what it is about this series and about this matchup for him. I don't know if it's Mike Brown and his coaching staff have figured out a way to defend Wemby, a way to just make him ineffective. Because Wemby played 40 minutes, he had 29 points, 9 rebounds. A lot of these positive things came for him. It came from him in the second half, not so much in the first. Wemby was playing soft the whole first half. And I don't think I've ever questioned if Wemby's soft. I've questioned his shot selection, and I'll question his shot selection later on in this video. And I've questioned some of the stuff he does, but I've never questioned if he's soft personally. It's just on this channel. But he, it just feels like he's playing these first two games very lackadaisical. Um, it just feels he's just not in a rhythm. And I've said this before, when you can keep Wemby off the boards, it feels like he just doesn't get in his rhythm like he usually does. And they kept this whole team. Nobody on this team was only, let's see, two people were close to double digit rebounds. The rest of the team wasn't even close. As a whole, they rebounded. They had 42, and the Knicks had 44. And I'm not saying that's like the difference in this game, but like you would like those two extra rebounds. Um, it feels like Wemby has reached like this right now, and this is nothing to be ashamed of. This is his ceiling. This is where he's at right now as an NBA player, an NBA Finals level player, and we knew that. We speculated about that when he came into the league that he would be an NBA Finals type of player. He could get your team to the finals. It's a whole nother thing winning it. And I'm not trying to say anything about Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns isn't the best big. Um, in the league. He by far is not the best center in the league. Maybe those conversations will sprout up. If they win this series and he wins Finals MVP, maybe some people will start to try to rewrite history and try to rewrite the stuff that Karl Anthony Towns didn't do in his first half of his career, but the most recent stuff. This is a what have you done for me recently league, and Karl has been amazing, and we'll talk about him in a minute. But Victor has just come out really flat, and he's this happened at portions throughout the playoffs, little spots here and there, for like a quarter or a half. And it happened in the first half in this game, like I said. But it just feels like he doesn't come out as energetically as he should, you know. In a lot of those Spurs games, he came out and put his foot on the gas and he was going. And I feel like which is the right thing to do, but I feel like he's more concerned with getting his teammates involved. And obviously, you need Champagny to hit some threes. You need Devin Vassell to hit some threes. You need Stephon Castle to do his thing. You need Dylan Harper to do his thing. So you want to get everybody involved. So like when they do start doubling you, your guys can already have it going. But Victor had the opportunity in this series to be the best player in this series, and he just hasn't managed to do that. I would even dare say he's been the third best player in this series, behind Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. He's been the third best player in this series, and for a guy who's projected to be an all-time great, um, ticks all the boxes for being, the prototypical next in line for being the best player in the world. This is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's deflating. Um, it's all those things, and like I said, I genuinely do think the Spurs championship was being Oklahoma because it feels like they just poured everything into that. They poured all their emotions, all their soul, everything into that series, and then they were like, "Oh, we're going to just play the Knicks. The Knicks are easy, right?" And the Knicks came out. They were rested. They were ready. They were ready to get punched in the mouth, and the New York Knicks have not been punched in the mouth at all. And can they get punched in the mouth in New York in Game 3? Maybe, but I'm very cautious in saying that the Spurs can come out in Game 3 and really give the Knicks a good punching. I'm very skeptical about that. The Knicks did seize control of this game at the end of the second. Some good stuff from them there. And now we move into what all of you guys are here for. The second half, the third and fourth quarter. The Knicks start the third quarter ahead. And at this point in the game, the Knicks fans that were in, I think it's the Frostbank Arena, right, where the Spurs play, they were feeling themselves. They were loud. Every shot that was going in for the Knicks, it wasn't a boo from like the Spurs fan. It was a cheer from the Knicks fans that were in San Antonio. And I feel like that did help a little bit. Um, the Spurs, again, just a young team doing stupid things. They were trying to gamble for steals and do all this stuff down 10. And it's like, just play straight up. Just play straight up defense. And this is going to come in later where um, playing straight up defense did help the Spurs come back into this game. But at this moment in the third, early in the third, they were still gambling for steals and just doing stupid stuff. The third quarter did result in Karl Anthony Towns in foul trouble with 4 fouls. So that did help alleviate some of the scoring, at least on the Spurs side, and obviously was a detriment to the Knicks side. Um, the There was a moment here, and I have this. Stephon Castle freezes Jalen Brunson and scores to bring the Spurs closer. Stephon Castle did like this little move, did a little ta ta ta, and then got to the basket, and Jalen Brunson was just like stunned, standing there. And I just thought that was. I mean, there weren't a lot of positives to take away from this game, but it was one of the better moves from Stephon Castle, who struggled from the field at five for 14 from field goal, 2 of 4 from three, only took 4 free throws, made 2 of them, 4 assists, 4 turnovers, 4 rebounds, 14 points. It was one of the better moments for him in a game and in a series where he looks like not like he did in the regular season. We'll put it that way. For the Knicks, as Karl Anthony Towns was out of the game and struggling with foul trouble, uh, Mikal Bridges started stepping up, hit a couple shots. He ended the game with 20 points, 8 of 13, 4 of 6 from three, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal. This is exactly what you want from like your third or fourth best player. It's exactly what you want. Perfect game for Mikal Bridges. Really impactful this game. Um, let's see, who is this? LS. Who is LS? LS. Because I have LS. Oh, Landry Shamet. That's who it is. Landry Shamet started taking control early in the fourth quarter, hit a couple threes, ended the game with 13 points, 3 of 7 from three, 2 of 12 from field goal. Um, Landry Shamet just pops up sometimes, and you're like, oh, damn. We were so close. We were so close to getting control of this game, and then Landry Shamet just hits like 2 buckets. And everybody the Knicks has run into in this playoff run has felt that feeling, I'm sure of it. Um, Landry Shamet gave them a double-digit lead, the Knicks. And in my notes here, in the fourth, I said Knicks might have control. And to be quite honest, um, they didn't have control, but it never felt like the Spurs were gonna get over this hump. I think they lead at some point. They might have led at some point in the third. I just rewatched the highlights, so I should probably remember that. But they definitely led at some point in the third, not by a lot, but just by a little bit. But it did help them get some momentum going. And oh, in my notes right here, it says Spurs can't get a lead and keep it, making shots, but so close so far. And then as the Spurs started to make their last, efforts to win this game, the Knicks started to look a little tired. It looked sort of like the beginning. I'll always reference this game of Game One against the Cavs, where they just looked sort of out of it. They weren't necessarily tired in that game, but they looked tired in this game. The Knicks had a challenge to use with 2:30 left on, I believe, was it an out of bounds call? Was it a foul call? It ended up being a foul call because I guess they saw contact before the ball went out of bounds, so the Knicks got the free throw anyway. It was a huge challenge with 2:30 left in the game. This is the real point in the game where Vic started taking over. Um, Even though he played, like I said, substantially better in the second half than the first half. He had a huge transition layup using his size and finesse on Karl Anthony Towns. It was a moment where it's like, oh, this is a moment where this could be the moment where they really start picking it up and they just go on this run at the end of this game and they win this game by like 3 or 4 points. Um, that didn't happen. There was more back and forth. This was like at this point, this was like a 1 point game. It was like every little thing mattered. If it wasn't already big enough that it mattered, it was even bigger. Um, and then this moment boggled me because there's a moment later, just moments later, that everybody's like, this was the moment the Spurs lost the championship. I think this was the moment. And I'm going to put this on Vic because with um, 33.7 seconds left, Victor Wembanyama, in the moment when I was watching this game, I thought it was a three. It was just a two-pointer, but regardless, we didn't need a jump shot then. Vic takes the ball near the Knicks bench and like one dribble pull up mid range shot, like deep mid range shot on I believe it was OG Anunoby, and it just didn't work. It didn't go in. It was like it was wide, and I was sitting there, and I was like, why did you take that? Because watching back the highlights today to prepare for this video, I was looking at the shot clock, and they had 18 seconds left on the shot clock. And it's like I get you have 33 seconds left, right? So you 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 what am I trying to say? You you wanted to go for the 2 for 1. You wanted to get your shot up, have the Knicks go back down, get the stop, and then get another shot for your team. In that moment, you don't need. I think they were up one, or it was very close. You only needed a two or a three, or a two, or go to the paint, get fouled, get another shot, 3 points, right? You, you didn't need to take a contested jumper like that with 18 seconds left, because then the pressure would be on the. If you wasted the whole shot clock, or you used the whole shot clock, the Knicks would be down to single digits in seconds to win the game, And the Spurs just didn't think about that. Like, I understand you don't want to get gamed. You don't want to get like game winnered, by like Jalen Brunson or Karl-Anthony Towns or something. But like, I rather would have wasted the shot clock and put all the pressure on the Knicks in San Antonio to win at the buzzer. That's what I would have preferred. But you chose to go for the 2 for 1, and then we'll get here in a second. Um, uh, it this is the moment for me where it trickled down and it fell apart. That moment right there where Vic took that jumper with 33 seconds left. That's when it really. I was like, yeah, this isn't going well. This isn't great. Um, I've and then we get to the penultimate moment here. The Spurs were holding on by a little bit. I believe they were only down one, so they had a chance to go back up and score and win the game. And Victor Wembanyama gets a little outlet pass, probably in between the paint and the 3 point line. Takes Catches it, takes one dribble, and he's gonna pass it to his guard, Stefan Castle, right? Stefan Castle, left hand side of the screen, is looking straight ahead. He's looking away, and the ball hits him in the back. Before he can even turn around, Jalen Brunson sees it. Jalen Brunson goes to get it, falls out of bounds, getting fouled by Victor Wembanyama, and that was the game. And like I said, I don't think this is the moment. Everybody online saying this is the sliding doors moment, um, where Stefan Castle just wasn't paying attention. Obviously, there's a miscommunication there of if Vic is going to bring up the ball, is Stefan going to bring up the ball, or at least get it past half court, and then take a timeout. There were mere seconds left on the clock in this moment, and that moment right there really sealed the game for the Knicks. And at that moment, the Spurs had a lot of great momentum, and they could have won this game, especially at home. And then in this game, the Spurs beat themselves. The Knicks didn't beat the Spurs. The Spurs beat themselves. And the Spurs beat themselves because they're a young team. And they just, all these little moments culminating in this one big moment and compounding all that into this whole game where you had this game you had it in the first, the Knicks went on their run in the second and the third, and then in the fourth, you were winning the fourth quarter. And one turnover changed the whole momentum, not just of this game, but of this series. And then the Spurs tried to do an out of timeout play after the Knicks had taken their free throws. And it was a terrible out of timeout play by Mitch Johnson. His out of timeouts have been terrible all playoffs. It was another Victor Wembanyama mid range jumper, and it was It was just a bad shot, and I don't know why they didn't have Wemby rolling to the basket and more movement off the ball. They just said, "Here's Wemby." Mike Brown used to do, the Knicks head coach now with LeBron James when he was the Cavs coach, or when Tyronn Lue was the Cavs coach and LeBron was the best player on the floor. Mitch Johnson drew up the play and it just said, "Get the ball to Wemby," and Wemby just threw up a threw up some BS mid range shot, and it wasn't great. It was I I'm I want to say I'm mad at Wemby. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because, like I said, he could have been the best player in the series, and he's chosen to only show up in bits and pieces. And um, the Spurs team as a whole is getting outplayed. Um, De'Aaron Fox actually had a substantially better game than his last couple games, or his last game. Yeah, that was only game one. 20 points, 8 of 12 from field goal, 2 of 2 from 3, 2 of 2 from free throw line. The 4 turnovers. I mean, everybody on the Spurs had 4 turnovers. Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Victor Wembanyama, terrible. Getting the ball up the floor, just getting the ball out. 4 turnovers. For the team, 16 in total, 16 turnovers. So that's not great. Um, what else here? Julian Champagny, bad game, 8 points. Devin Vassell, okay enough. I mean, 14 points, 3 of 7 from 3. Um, Carter Bryant, 0 points. Luke Cornett, 0 points. Harrison Barnes, 0 points. Keldon Johnson, 3 points. Dylan Harper, 15. Yeah, man. This was a rough one. This was a rough watch. Um, I actually watched the first half of this game with some friends, and it felt like it was going to be a Knicks game. And then I got back home at some point and watched the third, and that's when the Spurs started getting some momentum, and it felt like this was like, oh, the comeback win for the Spurs. Like I said when I previewed this series, the Spurs love to come back in their own arena and win games. This, however, did not result in a full comeback. It was a good effort, and I don't want to put it all on Vic, but at this point I have to. You threw it away. You threw it away with dumb shots. You threw it away with a turnover, and you just completely lost this game. And you only lost this game by 1 point. The Knicks got the W, 105 to the Spurs, 104, and they're heading back to New York. Game one in New York is today, but game three in total of the series is today in New York. And if the Spurs lose tonight, it's over. It's over. The Spurs don't have a 3-1 comeback game. They don't have a better coach than the Knicks. They don't have the best player in the series as of right now, and they don't have the best guard in the series either. And I don't think as a conglomerate, as a team, they don't have the better team right now. So there is nothing redeemable about this Spurs team. Um, I'll give them a lot of credit if they can walk into New York and win two. They need to win these next two, and that's it. That's all you need to do. Don't even focus on winning the series. Just win the next two. They took two in your house. You need to take two in theirs. And it's going to be crazy in New York. Um, I would talk about Game 3. I really would. I'm only 23 minutes into this video. I would talk about Game 3. There's a lot of stuff going on with Game 3 that I don't want to get into um, for obvious reasons. If you know, you know. Somebody very important showing, we'll call him a VIP. How about that? A very important person. A VIP showing up to Game 3, shutting down basically all the surrounding area of Madison Square Garden. There was supposed to be no watch party at all for New York fans in New York, but they moved it to a different area, free of admission, free of charge, thanks to Mayor Mondani. But the VIP is messing everything up. Um, that's not my opinion. That's just what people are saying online. My opinion of the whole situation is my 2 words or my 2 cents in the matter is it's unnecessary and it's not a great look for the um, NBA. Let's put it that way, and let's leave it at that because this is not a political channel. What will happen in New York will happen in New York, and we will keep it about basketball over here. I do want to um, pull up a quote I have from I believe it is Stephon Castle about this game, game two, before we get out of here, because I think it pretty much sums up game two in a nutshell. Um, if I could find it, yes, here we go. From Stephon Castle, yes. We feel like we gave them that game, self-inflicted mistakes throughout the game. We gave them life in areas where we could have took a lead to extend it. And I think this is obviously you want to hear this not positive stuff, but like this stuff from your young guard. Um, it's bittersweet. It's like, yeah, at least he's present in the moment and knows that like we made these mistakes as a team. We made mistakes, um, but yeah, it's like good maturity from Stefan, but it's like we've seen some of that maturity in the game, buddy. But yeah, that's it. There's another quote here from yeah, and we're not gonna read that one from the Aaron Fox. That's unrelated. Um, Yesterday also, well, I'm here on Twitter actually. I'm looking at my book notes, bookmarks. Um, and it was Jordan Clarkson's birthday, New York Knicks guard. And he's 34. Jordan Clarkson is 34. That's crazy. I remember when he came into the league. That makes me feel old too. Um, but yeah, that's it. That's the video. Uh, Recapping game two. Hope you guys enjoyed. A bunch of content coming this week. I have some jersey stuff for the Timberwolves and the Rockets coming up soon. Obviously, we're gonna recap game three right after it happens, or the day out, the morning after, the night after in the morning. I'll recap the game for you guys. No delay on that one. That'll be out immediately. And yeah, the end screen should be playing right now. Check out the playlist on the right. Check out check out the playlist on the right. Check out the video on the left. It will be a video you will like. I'm positive if you like NBA stuff. And if you click my icon right in the middle of the screen, bottom middle, a little subscribe button will pop up, and you can subscribe with ease, like and comment as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.